Webinar. I'm going to go ahead and push recording. So I know some of you guys are wanting us to record this so the rest of your team can listen to it. So thank you so much for joining us today. We're uber excited on this Wednesday afternoon. We had so many people signing up for this webinar. It looks like a lot of us are needing to see how the heck we can make some more money around there in our businesses. So really before we get started, Meg's going to go over some logistics for you so we can have a little bit of ease and flow inside of our webinar. Go for it, Meg.
Yeah, yeah, thank you, Amy. So we have a chat bar there for you to type in any messages. We're going to be monitoring them and getting back to you. So please do feel free to ask any questions, and I'm here to support you in any way. So let us know how we can do that.
Awesome. So if you guys can just find that little chat bar and then ask us questions as we're going through this, because really this webinar is all for you. It's really about having you guys see what's happening inside of your business, what are the things that you need to improve upon, and then also to like, what do you see as next? All right. I just want to say a little shout out to some of these people on here. I know so many of you. I'm so excited that you guys had joined us. So welcome, my little clients. All right, so before we get started, I want to go over with you guys a little about who we are and how we support you. So the first thing we do, so those of you who do not know us or what we offer, we have our salon and spa consulting. This is where really you get to work one-on-one with the consultant, and we really work with you on putting the systems in place. So as we're going to be going through some of these points today, and you're like, okay, that's lovely, Amy, but I have no idea how the heck to do it. The consulting is a great place to find yourself and really, putting in those systems from levels to handbook to staff meetings, whatever that might be. Then we have our Owners University. We actually have one coming up in LA. Some of you guys on the phone
Woohoo!
today are going to be there. I'm excited.
I'm so
And some of you guys
excited.
have been to the university. I also see some of our past participants on this. So, really, the university is transformational in such a big way inside your business and personal development. And the people on here that have been there can totally um, share about that. So, we have our university in LA in November. We also have our tech success online for service providers. So really, if you guys, the owners that are on here, you guys have service providers that are just not performing, you need to have their average service tickets increased, retail tickets, whatever that might be, like really having them go through some type of an online program just to really have them increase their productivity from behind the chair. We have our brand new program, the Booth Winners Boot Camp, which Meg leads some wonderful independents
Yes.
through. Yeah, so really having your, kind of that accountability, as we become independents, we also lose that accountability and that push and drive. So we have people going into a mentor program there. Our in salon training. So if you guys are like, okay, I'm great, but my team needs like 911 emergency support, we come in, support you inside of auditing your company and also really working with your team on having them grow their sales together, so that everybody gets a nice injection of creating a lot bigger game. We have our front desk systems. Again, Meg works with your front desk and really creating profits. So, how can we turn people that are not so income producers into making and having you create the money that you need to make from behind that front desk as well? And how can you make that thing a profit center and not a place where you're just leaking the money? So Meg drives it home in our program for the front desk. And of course, our leadership and life coaching. So I know a lot of times a lot of our clients are looking at how can we grow leaders inside of these organizations, which we're going to be talking a lot about today. So really, it's a program that you put people in that you want to have your managers be better leaders so that you as the owners can be stepping away from your companies a little bit, and so it's not dictating your life, but that you really have people surrounding you that can lead your team. So that's a little about who we are for those who do not know, and also just kind of who we are as your facilitators today. So a lot of you know, a lot of know who I am. But really, the biggest thing I want you guys to know is that I have the same challenges as you as a salon and spa owner. I wake up every morning as an owner and go to bed every night just like you, and that I really have learned a lot through my challenges. I've many times say I don't get my lessons easily. I really get to learn the hard way. And and so really having you guys learn through me what it took me years to figure out, thousands of dollars of wasted time and energy into how to really make how to make our salons and spas really profitable. So really having you guys going through that and really having you see what are the things that are in your way as well. Because as I was creating this training with Meg, I also looked at my own company, and how to do a check in, looking at my leadership, looking at what's missing inside of my company. So I love that you guys are, willing to take this webinar to really see how to grow your company. So that's all about me. How about you, Miss Meg?
Yeah, thanks, Amy. And I want everybody to know too that I also have been where you are in being that owner and what's next? What do I do? How do I do? I had my own salon and spa for 22 years. I worked it, I managed it. And now what I really walked away with after a few years into being into business and needing to hire a consultant because I was bankrupt basically. I was running a nonprofit business, and I'm sure some of you can really relate to that. But what I really walked away with was that I needed the support and that it's out there and that there's systems and structures to put into place that really can create great revenue and great support for team and staff, and that you don't have to do this alone. And in that, my invitation for you today is to really see what's going on in your backyard, because that's what I had to do. I had to take a look at what was happening in my backyard, see what's missing, figure out what you want to put there, how you're going to make it happen, who you're going to get the support from, and what actions are you going to take to make the changes that you need to make so that you can be the leader and that your staff can really grow and develop and that you are truly 100% supported. Awesome.
Nice. Yay. Well, I'm excited to partner with you today, Meg. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
All over the place. We're going to be together. All right, guys. So, kind of looking at this, we're looking at, what is management, right? So, what is management versus leadership? And a wonderful quote that I love is this: is management is doing the things right, and leadership is really all about doing the right things. What do you say about that, Meg?
Yeah, it's really interesting about management with really, we get caught up in our head and management can be very scary. And what it's really about is managing from performance and really managing from a place of results and not from feelings. And that taking on that leadership is really about upholding the company vision, mission, and values and what's there for you and leading by example. It's learning to lead your team from the results without the emotions. And it's a huge shift. It was a huge shift in my salon, huge shift for me.
Yeah,
So I love this quote also. Awesome.
nice. So this is really what you signed up for today that we're going to be going over is having you guys look at how to build that powerful team. Because one of the biggest things that gets in our way is like, how the heck can we even get a strong team and building them to be powerful so that everybody's making money? Also, really igniting that profit factor in them and ourselves and everybody inside those companies, including your front desk, and implementing a systematic way of how to communicate and holding your team to their highest good. And I think sometimes that can be a big thing that really gets in our way is, we want our team to perform, but how do we get them to perform? So that's a little bit what we're going to be going over today. So you guys ready?
Yeah.
All right. So this is what we're going to be looking at. Leadership, it's all about growing you. It's time for each one of you, because I know a lot of you on the call right now, it's really about looking at how can we grow you? It's kind of looking at who here on the call really knows it's time to do that check-in. I like to say the check up for the neck up. Looking at ourselves and our leadership. How do we know that it's time to raise our bar for our industry and how to raise it inside of our own companies? I look at my own company many times and I'm looking at saying, how can I raise that bar? When I'm looking at raising the bar, I'm looking at how can I really elevate myself so that my salon can be elevated at the same time. It's also looking at what are we tolerating? As we're looking at all of this, looking inside of our organizations, what are we really tolerating inside of that? And what have we kind of turned our head and kind of ignored? Because it's really, really easy to just ignore the things that are going on the day to day. So I want you guys just to think for just a minute. And I want you to write down a piece of paper. Hopefully, you guys brought your pens, your paper. What are 3 things that you no longer want to tolerate at your salon that's been going on? So just take a minute and just think about what are the three things that are really happening right now. Maybe it's the front desk is coming in late, the team isn't doesn't care about their goals, isn't reaching them. Maybe your recruiting team isn't really having producing the results. Maybe the last education you had flopped. I'm not really for sure what it is, but I really want you guys to think for a second. What are the things that you're no longer wanting to tolerate at your salon that you know needs to shift? We look at this, it's the last quarter of this year. So, what are we willing to do to really claim our power back inside of our own company and to start shifting the way that we do things?
Amy, this is such a great opportunity at this end of the year. Like you just stated, the last quarter, we have a whole brand new year coming up, and this is the time to really get present to what the gap is and how to make that shift happen. Awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks for that, Meg. Hope you guys come up with some really great things. All right. I love this little dude. So, where do you need to grow as a leader? And we're going to be going through this. We're going to take a few seconds and think about this question and really look at these next key areas about where do you need to grow as a leader and where do you need to claim your power back? Where have you guys been like, stick a fork in my eyeball? Which, trust me, I feel the exact same way sometimes. It's like looking at our own, looking at ourselves, doing that check in. Where do we need to grow as a leader? So, this next slide, we're really going to be going over each one of the key areas. And I want you guys to think about it. You know, where is it inside of this wheel? Like, where do you notice that you can really look at and the opportunity to improve yourselves and even your own leadership team? So, looking at yourself and for them as well. All right, so here we go, everyone. So, I want you to do is I just want you to, on a piece of paper, just go 1 through 10 all the way down. Just kidding. I think it's 8. So, whatever, guys.
It's 8. Yeah, well, I'm like thinking, wait a minute. I'm
Yeah.
like,
All
I'm
right.
like, wait,
It's
I think
fine.
there's only 8 arrows there, Amy.
Hey,
You can add an extra
we're
3
all
for
creative.
sure.
We're all creative people. They can have their own too. So whatever you feel like if we don't hit on our points, that you can just add those next two. All right. So the first area inside of your will is relationships. So there are 3 ways that you're going to be able to grow relationships. All right. I want you guys to write these down. You can either grow them, kill it, and have it die a slow death. So, where inside of our relationships are we being too busy from behind the chair to really lead that team? Looking at nurturing and growing the relationships with our team, our customers. Where do you guys notice that you've kind of dropped the ball? Like, are you nurturing that relationships? Are you growing it? Have you killed it? Or are you just kind of letting it die a slow death? So I really want you to rate yourself here 1 through 10. 1 meaning not so good, 10 meaning you're like a total rock star. You're like A plus on side of this relationships with your team. So rate yourself. Do you trust your team on doing the right thing? Are you nurturing and growing those relationships? Go for it, Meg.
Great. Next is attitude. Attitude is really about how you're showing up to the party. Where are you coming in? How are you being when you walk into your salon every day? How are you being with your team? Do you walk in with a positive attitude? Are you kind of like, hey, we can solve this together? Or are you walking in with a stream of stress trailing behind you? And how are you reacting and relating with team? We all have drama. Where's your attitude around it? So really take a look at yourself and see how you're showing up every day in every way inside of your salon.
Nice. Leading. So, where do we lead from? So, when we start looking at that ability to lead your team, are we able to lead them? Like, are people listening to you? Are you taking the time to lead? Do you lead from your emotions? Do you lead from a system you put in place? Are you leading and having the conversations or are you ignoring those conversations? So, do we even have the ability to lead? It's okay if you don't. I had a call the other day. We had a leader, she's a manager. She's like, I don't even know how to start this whole process of leading this team. And so just really rating yourself and looking at, do you have that ability to lead? And where do you lead from? Do you lead from a knee reaction, just total emotional place, or do you lead from a place that's a strong core? So rate yourself there.
Next is the ability to train. So, are you willing to take a look at your schedule and to take time out of your schedule to train your team, train them in the systems and the structures that really need to happen in order for your team to be successful and for your salon to operate? Or are you busy being busy? You know, as operators and owners and technicians across the board, and we're behind our chair or doing whatever we do, we tend to allow our busyness to get in the way. And then we wake up and it's like, oh, wait, my team is going awry. Well, what's behind that in your ability to train? And how are you putting systems into place?
Nice.
Just one more thing about that, Amy, is for us to really kind of consider as owners and leaders, our team are really our customers. They're our front customers before our customers that come through the door. So something else to think about.
Yeah, I love that. It's perfect. So looking at that, I think Meg just said a great thing about it is, do we have the systems to follow? Are we, and I said earlier, are we leading from systems or those emotions? Sometimes I want to just, lead all from my emotions. It feels so much better. But it's like really looking at our system and what does our system say about coming in late? What does our system say about no calls, no shows? So really looking at that. Do you have systems to follow? Are you following them inside of your leadership? Do you need to dust off your handbook or whatever it might be? So I really want you to rate yourself. Are you inside of your leadership following those structures that you already have in place inside of your own organization?
Great. And all those systems and structures putting in place is really also about investing in your team. So let's take a look at what it would like to be like to invest in your team and what's important to them. So when we think about that, it's about having communication, finding out what their needs are, what their wants are, what's important to them. How can you support their desires?
Mm.
Because when we do that, we get ours filled 10 times over. You know, it's what they're going to support our dream when they feel supported and upheld. So
Yeah,
investing in your team.
beautiful. Acknowledging your team. So what are we doing to acknowledge them and celebrating their successes? Or are we just noticing the things that they're not doing? Whenever your team doubles their base or, sells $500 in retail or whatever that might be, what are we doing? What is the system we have in place to make sure that we know that there's those times we really need to be acknowledging our team? Maybe it's they did a beautiful job. Your front desk beautifully closed the salon. It looked immaculate for the next day. So I want you to think about this for a second inside of who you are as a leader. Do you take the time to really acknowledge your team? Because I know that it goes such a long way in with them, but it's also the thing that's so easy to look past. So rate yourself.
And you know, to piggyback on acknowledging your team, we have in-house contests and incentives to grow your team. You know, I have a client that I'm working with right now in front desk, and it's how to motivate the front desk to do the systems and structures to really support the salon. Well, let's create some incentive and acknowledge them for their work. Let's add some contest in there. Make it fun. Be creative. Do all kinds of like silly little things. It doesn't have to be a lot of money. It can be really funny and silly, but to have fun with it. And in all of those, it's about creating the change within the culture of the salon and how it relates to the customer, and really creating a change in the customer's behavior. Because ultimately, that's what we all want. We want the customers to buy more, spend more, be with us, send us more people, and really have those relationships develop. So what can we do to build that relationship
Mhm.
through incentives and contests to grow your team?
Nice. All right, everyone. So just add up your little scores there, your eights, your tens, your little rock star numbers. You might have a couple of fours and fives. But I really want you guys just to look and see of the eight. Hey, and there's two more spots there. So if you guys come up with a couple other things, just jot them down and rate yourself, right? So looking at this, I really want you guys just to circle your lowest scores. So if you were to look and see of the 8 points and the lowest scores you have, to really circle those. Because really looking and seeing like what's next for you, knowing that those are your lowest scores, what do you see to do to put in place? Maybe it is relationships. Maybe it is taking the time to have your team engagement parties. Maybe it's time to Look at how to become a stronger trainer for them. Maybe it's getting into some leadership courses. So, whatever those things are, what are the actions that you need to do to bridge your gap so you don't have a flat wheel, that you really have a nice balance between each one of these key areas? So, just take a minute. I want you to add them up. And I also want you to think about what are the actions to take to maybe take that 8 to a 10 or that 4 to a 7.
And please feel free to share with us on the chat if there's anything that comes up for you in areas that you would really like to have support around so that we can follow up for sure.
Yes, guys, we're all that both of us are very used to training in front of a room. So one-way conversations, it's so lovely when other people can participate in this. So we'd love
Yeah.
to see you guys participate over there. Okay, so looking at this is a place where we get stuck, right? Because inside of our lives, right now we live most of the time inside our comfort zone. And what we're doing is we want you guys to think about, we want to push you out of that comfort zone, push you way out of it. I know that it can be scary. I remember the last time that I launched my first handbook. I was scared to death. I was like, I'm going to have a walkout. I'm going to have a walkout. I'm now telling them how to ask off, and they have to give me 6 week notice and all these things. I'm like, they're going to be mad. They're not going to want this. And so I remember like going through that stuff that was totally out of my comfort zone. But I can tell you, like when I had a coach, she totally coached me through it, had me go through the whole process. And in the face of the resistance, it actually was okay, knowing that it was what I needed in order to have some freedom inside my own company. So I just want you to look and think for yourself. Who do you have that's really having be that champion for you? Who do you have that's having you really launch out of that comfort zone and over there to where the magic happens, out there, out of your comfort zone? Because that's really where all the magic is happening. It's not inside the comfort zone. That's a bunch of fear that's wrapped you all so crazy.
Yeah, and Amy, I love this quote, fear is false evidence appearing real.
But it feels so real.
And and it does. It feels so real, but when we do that real check-in, it's not real.
Yes, unfortunately, right? But it does. It feels real. All right.
Yeah.
So here we go. We're going to start looking at the different areas inside your company. You guys are on a webinar. This is all about maximizing your team's performance, right? We're going to maximize them. So I want you guys to start looking at how can we have you guys start creating that rapid revenue? And what are the things you need to implement in order to make it happen? Because we're a systems company. We love putting systems in your company, but we also love to really grow and develop you as a leader. One of the biggest things and reason why I became a certified life coach in leadership is because I can put a handbook in a company, but it was about the leader and how it was being delivered as to what was really kind of getting in the way. And so really having you guys as well as we're going to be going through these systems, start looking at, what are the things that you need to be putting in place? Like, where are your dang gaps? We all have them, and what do we need to be doing in order so we don't get behind the 8 ball? You guys, we're looking at the last quarter of this year, and I know it sounds crazy, but we're here. And I was talking to my own coach about, we're at this last quarter, and as an owner, what have we been putting in place for ourselves inside of education? Like, where have you guys gone to grow and develop your leadership skills, grow and develop your business skills, right? If we are just sitting here at the last quarter of this year almost, what do you want to have created by end of this year? We're sitting on December 31st, and I'm giving, we're cheersing with a nice, beautiful glass of wine. What are we cheering to? Like, what do you really want to have accomplished here? And so I want you to really be thinking about that as we're going through this assessment to see, is it doubling your business? Is it working only 3 days from behind the chair? Is it, having 3 more stylists, 2 more front desk, and assistant training program in place? Like, whatever that big goal is for you, I want you to really keep that in mind as we're going through this other assessment, because I want you guys to be writing down the golden nuggets that's going to have you guys bridging that gap over. Okay. So again, it's the 1 through 10, and 10 being you do it all the time. 1, you really do need it, or yes or no, or however you like to do it. But I really like for you guys to really looking at this. So the first place we're going to be looking at is recruiting. Now, I got some of my clients on here, so I know you guys better be going at a 10 on this one, right? Because we're always recruiting. I had a call the other day with my client. She's like, Amy, I always remember that ABR. So write this down, ABR, always be recruiting. This is huge. My team is today out recruiting at the schools. They're doing a career fair. They're out recruiting. I need another front desk person. We're recruiting today. Our what are we doing to make sure that we have a strong recruiting process in place? I have a recruiting team I can't be doing. I'm sitting here with you guys right now while there's a career fair going on. So is it us doing it or who do we have doing this recruiting? Because I know that a lot of my owners love to have multiple hats that they're wearing and only you know how to do it and whatever, right? But I really want to have you guys looking at, who do you have that can even be supporting you in this whole recruiting process? So ABR, post that in your office. Always be recruiting. Create that recruiting package, when you're out and about, that you guys have something to hand people. Ask for referrals from the schools and in your own team. I just hired one of the most amazing employees. Well, he's still amazing. He's only been with me for 60 days, so I'll keep you guys posted. But hey, he came from a referral from one of my own employees. So it's even looking and seeing who do they know who might be interested. Looking at that recruiting process and also your interviewing process. So as we're hiring on these people, are we hiring out of desperation because they have a pulse? Because I've done that too. So are we hiring because they have a pulse? Are we hiring because they actually are somebody that can fit inside of our culture? And are we really looking through, is there a process that we're going to put them through? Are we going to have we defined that culture? And are we really putting them in place from the very beginning? When my clients just hired, 3 new employees, I said, listen, they're seasoned stylists. We have to implement your culture in them because they're going to come with some bad habits, right? So what are you doing to make sure at the very beginning of that culture that you guys are implementing that, putting that in place, and that we train that? And one of the places even to think about, which I truly love, is growing those people from the ground up. So getting them fresh out of the school and really growing them and putting them into an assistant training program. So I want you to look at yourself and really rate yourself. How are we doing with recruiting? What are the things that you know that you need to be doing to really grow your recruiting process? And just like today, I've got to recruit, guys. We're out there right now, literally, and recruiting for a front desk and for a new assistant because we're growing. So rate yourself on your recruiting.
Training your team, number 2. This is so important for any salon to truly have the success of the numbers, right? And success from the very beginning. What do you have in place right now as far as an assistant training program for the technical support? We need to make sure that when we do that recruiting and we bring somebody in, that they're really being supported from the ground up. And that the next step from the assistant training program is that they can really be out on the floor 100% and really do well and be successful. Next is our soft skills training. I find it so fascinating that 15% of our success is really built on our technical skills. It's really built on the way we cut, clip, style, file, massage, all of that. And the 85%, that balance, is really built on our soft skills, our ability to communicate. What do you have in place to help support your team on how to have those conversations, how to do those consultations, how to have a conversation about retail and educating your clients about the retail that you sell, and upselling? To be able to have those conversations on finding out the needs of your clients so that you can offer more services. Asking for referrals. I cannot tell you how many people say, I can't do that. That makes me feel like that I'm desperate for business. But it's really not. It's just asking them for somebody who's like them. You enjoy working on them, so why wouldn't you want more of them? Having the conversation for rebooking and making sure that we're truly guaranteeing our future income. That's what rebooking is all about. So we can have some sort of a future income 5 weeks, 6 weeks, 8 weeks out, whatever that is. What do you have in place to support your team in communicating? Who do you have in place to support you If you can't do it, then who will you have do it to support you in there? A mentor program. Mentor programs are great. And
Yeah.
there again, it's taking that team, that making the team effort here. It's taking a really great masterful stylist and supporting a junior stylist, however that looks within your salon or spa, and having everybody being on board and supporting team. Continuing education. So it's all well and good that we bring in that technical part, right? Like I just said. Well, what about continuing education for your for your consultations and for your communications? And are you putting it on your calendar? We get really busy being busy, right? But what we put on our calendar can really support us. So are you putting a continuing education into your regular schedule? Rate yourself.
Beautiful. So going into what Meg just talked about, that soft skills, and I know we talk a lot about this with your team, is looking and seeing, do we have that system in place to really have your team go through those soft skills that Meg just talked to you about? Do we have a strong greeting for your whole team? Do they have a consultation that is actually thorough and makes sense? What does the service look like? Are we educating and recommending other services and products? And are we doing a follow through? Are we really making sure that we're saying thank you? We're calling them, we're checking in on them, we're making sure they have their next appointment. So when Mega just went over that whole piece inside of training the team, are we training them with those soft skills that's actually going to make a difference for them inside of their behind the chair business? This is one of the great things that we go over inside of the Tech Success and also our CD is having your team getting trained that this is how we do it here. So no matter if they're a 20-year service provider or they're fresh out of school, that everybody has got the same consultation that's tweaked a little bit to really fit their personality, but ultimately that everybody is, the customer can go this chair next to them and be getting the same type of experience anywhere in your salon.
Yeah, Amy, I love this slide because it really just does support the power of communication
Yeah.
and how it can really drive business home. It's awesome. It's a really great slide.
Yeah. So write these down, take a picture, do whatever you guys need to do. I want you guys to meet somebody. I want you to meet Sharon. This is a service provider that we worked with. She's actually still currently coaching with me. Her number is even better. But I know some of you guys have met Sharon before, and Sharon's the person that worked at Starbucks, and she also was working full-time Starbucks, full-time at a salon. And she was just like completely an overwhelm. And she was brand new 1 year on the floor. And by going through the coaching program of teaching her numbers, that consultation, being consistent is key, right? We were able to grow our average service ticket by 27%, her retail by 77%, her rebooking by 194%. And Sharon has now quit Starbucks and is now full time behind the chair. And she's able to do all of this because we were able to coach her and how to grow her from behind the chair. So I don't know about you guys, but I would love for everyone, my team members, to have this type of growth.
Rate yourselves in all of these areas.
Yeah, here we go. So everybody just take a deep breath. This is like uber exciting. We're going to create so many profits inside of these companies. I promise you. This is how we're going to maximize you and your team into these profitabilities. All right. So looking at tapping into your dreams. So I know I had this big dream in my company when we first opened up the doors, and then I hired the first employee, and then things just start to shift, right? Shift happens. So looking at this, are we taking the time to dream again? This is why I love day one of university. It's because we actually extract our owners away from their busy days and all the conversations with the team and have them go and dream on the first day, like really looking at what is our vision for these companies? Where the heck do we want to be in 5 years? Do we want to sell it? Do you guys want to pass it on to another family member? Maybe it's another team member. Maybe it's just simply multiple locations, like whatever it is. Really taking the time to look at, are we even tapping into our dreams, or are we just too busy being busy? Are we taking and then having the team buy into that vision? Now, do they know where you're headed? By you guys being clear, then they can be clear. And then they get to declare what they want. And then one of my favorite things we do is based off that big vision of these companies, then we can have planning meetings around it. So we're always growing and moving forward. So we're looking at this and tapping into your dreams. Are you guys have we taken the time to really take and to dream for a minute? Or are we just kind of allowing these things to rule our lives, which is so easy to do? I know for me, I let it just rule my life for years. I'm like, I don't even know why I'm doing this anymore. I can make more money somewhere else. So looking and seeing, are we taking that? Have we tapped into our dreams again? So rate yourself here.
Yeah, I love that because it really is important to stay focused on the dream. I think
Yes.
that's so important. Consistent communication. So I want you to think about how important communication is. Well, we've already established that it's really important in having our conversations with our customers and what that would look like, but also inside of this consistent communication within the culture of our salon. It helps to support the culture of our salon and what we want to have. So staff meetings. Are you holding staff meetings? How many times a year maybe? Is it monthly? Is it quarterly? What does that look like? Are your staff meetings basically complaining sessions, or are they a way to really generate some forward movement as to where you want the salon to go? And there's that leadership aspect of it. Having one-on-ones, and evaluations, our plan and reviews. I had my plan and reviews every other month with my staff when I first started in consulting, just so I could really get present to what it is that they wanted and that they could get really present to the numbers that they were expected to have. One-on-ones and evaluations allow you to really develop a deeper relationship with your staff. Find out, hey, what's working for you? What's one thing that could be improved? And be open to listening for that. 24-hour communication charter. This is really important. We all have the drama. We all have upsets, things that happen in the salon. But a 24-hour communication charter could really help support the culture of the salon of, hey, we solve our problems. We don't allow the drama to continue. Have things come forward. Have good things coming forward, sharing with each other what that really looks like as your wins. Wins are really just as important to share in communication as upsets, right? So rate yourself. What do you have going on in consistent communication and how that's really upholding the culture of your salon and you as a leader?
Yeah, and I love actually my evaluations are coming up next week. And I know some of you on the phone here, so my clients, you guys are having yours come up as well. And I think this is, looking at quarterly evaluations, right? It's coming to the end of your third quarter. So those who don't have it on your calendar, get it on there because we're here. It's here, either we like it or not. So my favorite things to do are quarterly evaluations with my team. I get to spend 45 minutes with each one of those team members and really talking about how is it going for them, like what's working, what's not working, what's next, what do they want to be creating, how much money they want to make. It is so awesome. Like, when do we really set that type of time aside to really be working with our team and growing and developing them on a one-on-one basis? So whenever Meg just went through this, like, I really want you guys to see that your quarter's almost over. So making sure that you're putting those into your calendar every quarter so you can be doing those evaluations. And so those of you on here that don't know how to do an evaluation, call us. We can support you. This is what we do all day long, and really supporting you on how to be the most effective inside of those evaluations. So rate yourself. I get all fired up. I get all excited about those evaluations. Number 5 is being that leader that you guys want to follow. So be the leader that you would want to follow, right? Like, who wants to be following some grumpy pants? Who wants to be following somebody that just didn't have a very good day and wanted to kill their children before they came into work, or whatever that thing is? So being that leader that you want to follow and really looking at, are you inspiring with your team, but yet firm? It's that open leadership with rigor. I had to have multiple conversations over 72 hours. It was quite impressive how many conversations I had to have with my team. Are we willing to have the tough conversations with them, but at the same time being open and approachable and allowing them to be heard about what's really going on? inside of them, their lives, and what's having it go this way for them. So, looking at this, are you really being that leader that you would even want to follow? Or do you got some tweaking to do? You know? So, rate yourself here.
Yeah, you know, Amy, is really interesting. This was a big shift for me in my salon as me being a leader and being open to listening and really allowing my team's voice to be heard. And some of that was also the fear of hearing what they had to say, and it was all made up in my mind, you know. But in that being approachable and having those open voices to really share is where the growth happened. It was a beautiful experience for me. It was really quite shift
Yeah.
changing.
Yes, so all you owners that are behind the chair or you do something else to really make sure you take the time to have your team spend that quality time with you so they can talk to you about whatever's going on with them. Number six.
Great. Number six, grow your rock star team with systems. You know, it is all about the systems. When I realized that I was running a nonprofit business and that money was seriously missing from my business, the next thing that I realized was missing was systems and structures. And that's what made the shift in in my business. Everybody wants to know what's going on and what's expected of them. People do really thrive under structure. And then to have those clear defined measurements for staff and pay structures and the growth measurements. So it's looking at the average service ticket. Hey, this is what you're making now, but let's stretch you. Let's try and make it this so that you can grow and the salon can grow. And in that, it's, are you sharing your numbers and sharing your information with your salon team so that they know exactly where they need to be? Because it's hard to operate from a place of gray fuzzy matter, right? So
Mm-hmm.
to have that in black and white. Handbook, do you have a handbook in place? A handbook is essential in really supporting the entire culture of the salon around the dress code. What do I do when somebody's coming? What's the protocol when somebody calls out sick? How a lateness is handled with the staff, but also handled with the client that might be waiting. All of that goes into a handbook. It's the systems and the structures, the backbone of how you handle your team's business. Amy went through the recruiting process so beautifully. You know, we have to always be recruiting. So what do you have in place there around your recruiting process? What's your interview process? Is it, hey, yeah, you're breathing, I'm going to hire you? Or is it a series of very open-ended questions that are going to allow you to learn about that candidate? Perhaps it's not just having the interview with you yourself or your manager, but perhaps several teammates and having group interview processes. Think about that and how that could work for you. Of course, we talked about the training programs and can't stress it enough how important it is to have training in place for every team member from the time that they're, an onboarding training all through the advanced education training. Front desk systems, woohoo! I love the front desk, and it's an area that is truly undersupported. I see and really feel in this industry, and it's an area that could really be considered a profit center versus a cost center, but it's done through systems. How are the clients being greeted? What's the front desk system doing, having set up as far as check in, check out, follow up, follow through? What kind of social media are they supporting? There's all kinds of things around front desk systems. Staff meetings, we just talked about that. The importance of staff meetings, one-on-ones, and reviews. They really do open up the field for learning and growth. So rate yourself. What are you doing on one of these bullet points to truly, or all of the bullet points, to truly grow your rock star team with systems?
Nice. All right, so I want you guys to meet somebody. This is Adara. This is one of my accounts. This lovely girls. This is a little bit about before coaching, because I know we're going over so many different key areas. But listen, They didn't have it either. They had everything go wrong, everything sucked. It was the worst handbook ever, all of that. And then through coaching and developing them, we've actually had huge increases inside of their numbers. So having you guys see that really you can have it too. As we're going through this, if it's coaching, university, whatever injection that you need for your business, that you guys are doing this. So looking and seeing there are these systems do work and they actually increase. When we're looking at maximizing yourself, your profitability, your team, everything. So we do thrive under this structure, as crazy as it sounds. As much as we resist it, we actually are the one we need it. So knowing there are answers, take big deep breaths. You guys are doing wonderfully. You're very quiet out there. I know you're out there because I can see your name, but you're just being quiet. You guys can chat and say hi or something, you know? No. All right. So creating those profits, which I just talked about. What are we doing to create those profits? Are we looking at our numbers? Are we looking to seeing what is that break even number for our company to thrive? Do we even know what that is? Are we goal tracking with our team? Are we setting those goals? Are we meeting with those teams? Do we maybe need to hire managers so they can do all this work for you because you're too busy off on vacation, right? Or whatever it is. But that we really start looking at creating that profit, setting those goals, knowing what our numbers are. We're setting budgets, everyone. We're setting those budgets. We understand our finances. We've taken the time to really look at those numbers. You know, how's your break even number? Is it different than whenever it was 6 months ago? Does it need to be evaluated? Are we building in profits inside of your break even number? So when you rate yourself, like have you taken the time to see how healthy is your bottom line? How healthy is your company right now? So rate yourself on creating those profits.
The next generation of leaders. You know, when we really look at this, it's all about the millennials, right? It's all about who's coming up and what it is that they need. And part of that is developing trust within your team so that you can grow them. We walk through the recruiting process, we walk through the training process, and now we're developing that trust. How do we grow them? How do we get them to be something bigger? And what's there for them? What do they want? It's creating a career path for them. Maybe they started out in one direction within the salon industry and they've decided, hey, I'm really great being a stylist, but now I really want to be a colorist. Or maybe I want to get into skincare. Or maybe I want to be a leader and be a manager. Creating a career path for them. You know, what are you doing to have them be their best and to support their growth? What do you have in place? Rate yourself.
So we're going to kind of zoom through these really quickly, but I wanted you guys to kind of have an idea about the millennials in our workforce, okay? So they ask us, how can we attract these younger generations? So these are some points for you guys just to think about. So really, they're looking for mentors. They're looking for feedback on their reviews, just like we talked about. They're going to be the percentage, they're going to be huge, 46% inside the workforce. So I want you guys to be looking at these slides as we're going through it to make sure you're setting up your companies for this next generation. We don't want a bunch of, older seasoned stylists in your salon. You guys need some young, vibrant energy in there as well. So are we setting up our company to win? Are we looking at this? What are we doing to have our team communicate? Really having them be strong in communication. Are we training your team to communicate effectively within each other? Or are they just being little in the break room? So looking at that, this is really what trainings do you guys have in place to train your millennials? Also looking at, are you setting goals for them? They have expectations. They want you to set a goal for them and support them in getting there. They'll do it as long as you set the goal for them. Also, what are we doing to provide the skill sets so they can get promoted inside of your company? We've talked a lot about different ways. If it's online training, having on sites, going to university, having your leaders come to university, like what are you doing to help grow the skills that they need in order to really get promoted inside your organizations? Because that's really what they're looking for inside the manager's eyes, how to make sure that we're time management, great attitude, and also have the skill sets inside of your team. And our very last one is here, which is probably one of my favorite things to do. is making those deposits, as we are, I kind of like the love bank, right? We'll just kind of that analogy, about filling up your love bank. It's the same thing with your team. It's about knowing, if they're depleted, what are we doing to fill our team back up? If they're going to go in like my team did on Sunday, this huge full on salon training, and my lead educators were there, like what are we doing? What am I doing to acknowledge them as their leader? What am I doing to praise them? Spending time with your team. Sometimes guys, they actually want to be with us, strangely enough. They just want to spend that quality time with us. Do Are we surprising them with donut holes and coffee, or hey, let's run go to Starbucks? Are we randomly buying them lunch? Are we just sharing with our team what we've been up to? Are we taking the time? I've got a s'mores party at my house on Sunday. Just come on over. Let's have a s'mores party, right? It's turning fall here in the Midwest. So, what are we doing to make sure that we are integrating the fun? Are we having fun with our team, and are they connecting in with us on an emotional level as well? But not too much. You guys get there's a little bit of balance, right? All right. So I really want you guys to rate yourself here on, are you taking the time to make your deposits with your team?
I love that.
Yeah.
I love the love bank.
Yeah, the love bank. We all got one. You guys might be running on empty too. I know I've got to remind myself we got to fill up our love banks. Even our managers need to be filled up. All right, so rate yourself. And now we're here at the very end of this rating. So I want you to look at, where are you? Is your business profitable? How did you rate? Looking at, adding up your scores. Where were you inside of your ratings? What do we need to do in order to make these companies a profit center? What are the action steps for you guys to be taking in order to have this thing really win for you and win for your team? We've gone to this rating, and what we want you guys to see is, what are the gaps? This is all about distinguishing your gaps so then you know what needs to happen in order to rocket out this last quarter, because that's what we're a stand for, these owners, is you guys and your team to be making some money. No longer nonprofits. We're done. We're over that. That is so 2002. We're done with that stuff. We're going to hang that stuff up, and we're going to really move forward inside of it. And so, what do you see needs to happen in order to make that a reality? How can you guys make these things profitable inside of the things that we just went over today? And really, what are the things that that you need to be doing in order to make that happen, to turn that into reality? So, as some of you guys know, we do have our university coming up in LA. Some of you guys on the call right now are actually attending, and we also are inviting other people. I actually might be sold out by end of this week, but we'll see. So, if you are interested, please reach out to Meg or I, or one of the other coaches, yeah, that's interested in having a conversation about what would the university look like, and what would be the best thing for you, because the next event we have for university will be in New York in May. I did set the date for May, so we do have a new May date, but it will be in New York City. So those that really need a good injection of, what the heck am I doing, Amy? Like, I just need to recreate my culture. I need more systems. I need to train my leaders, whatever that might be. If you guys know, it's a great place to find yourself before the end of the year, just to take yourselves out of your current reality and really come over and start working on your business. We'll be in LA November 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. So,
Woohoo!
yeah, I'm really excited, really am. And of course,
Very excited.
being on the call today, you guys get that $200 off. It's actually $13.98. What I want to flip to is, if anybody is interested, Meg is available. This is my contact information, so please write it down. And also, too, Meg is also available right after this call. So if you guys are like, hey, I just went through this, but I'm really struggling in these different areas, we really are here to support you and to get what you guys need inside of all of it. And really just thanks for taking the time today to look and see what can you be doing to making yourself, your team, and everybody to profit to that maximum performance, so you guys are really making the type of money that you want to make. Anything else for you, Meg?
I want to acknowledge our participants today. I want to acknowledge you for taking the time out of your business to really work on your business and focus on your business. And, as I said in the beginning, to really invite you to take a look at your own backyard. And as Amy suggested, that going through this training, we really were able to distinguish the gaps and what's there. And so what's next for you in your backyard and taking care of that for you and how we can support you and to know, what, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. Thank goodness the wheel was developed, all right, so that we didn't have to think about it. But you don't have to think about it. It's all there for you. And our commitment is to commit to your business. And our commitment is to support you and call you forward to your greatness. And as leaders, owners, and as teammates.
Nice, beautiful. So get your booties moving, be into action, do whatever, be unstoppable. All right, guys, totally be unstoppable and snap that power back and do whatever it takes in order to make your 2015 an amazing year. All right, everyone. Thank you so
Please feel
much.
free to reach out. Thanks so much, everybody. Bye.